So many of the women that I coach say the exact same thing, which is that I want to eat better, but I just don't really know how. I don't really know where to start. And I definitely don't know where to start as a mom who's cooking for other people. And I get it. This video is episode 2 of my postpartum comeback series after having my second daughter. And so I'm thinking a lot about these things right now because I am trying to lose some of the baby weight while also making sure that I'm nourishing my body, keeping up my milk supply, and also feeding the rest of my family. The truth is nutrition is hard, even though we hear about it all the time. Like, it is hard to do, especially if you are feeding other people and you're busy and you're overwhelmed and you're overtired. But in this video, I really want to break it down, simplify it, make it as easy as possible for myself on my postpartum weight loss journey and for any other moms out there who are interested in eating better for their own weight loss goals, nutrition, fitness goals, or just generally better health. So let me introduce my formula for healthy eating. It is to eat enough of the right things in the right order. And I'm going to break down those 3 sections to try to make this as clear as possible and as simple as possible. So starting with eating enough. A lot of women, so many women that I coach, are either intentionally or unintentionally under eating because forever we've been told this lie that the less you eat, the healthier you will be. Now, where that's coming from is the scientific truth that you have to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. So you have to be eating fewer calories than you are burning throughout the day if you want to lose weight. However, our culture, because our culture is very binary and we love extremes, we have swung so far into the wrong direction where we think that like just eating less full stop is the right way to eat. And that is not true. So intentionally under eating is really harmful for your body and can really derail your goals. Unintentionally under eating is another thing I see very commonly with the moms I work with. And that's because we're moms. We're busy. We oftentimes are feeding other people and then run out of time to feed ourselves, or we're on the go, or we're working and we just, you get that iced coffee and it kind of fills you up enough and you don't really think about it. Maybe you have like a protein bar later that day and then you're like, okay, that was fine. But no. Unintentionally under eating is another major issue that I see. So the first part of eating nutritionally, eating healthy, is eating enough. Because again, when we're not eating enough, we run into hormonal issues that can really jack up your hormones. If you're a breastfeeding mama like me, it can really mess with your milk supply. It can slow down your metabolism. It can lead to binging and sugar crashes and just a lot of unhealthy patterns that we want to break. Your body needs fuel, not restriction. You have to fuel yourself. You have to keep your energy reserves up. And where do we get energy from? Calories. So eating enough is number 1. Now, the second part in this formula is eating enough of the right things. So this is where understanding what food is comprised of and what types of foods are best for your body, what types of nutrients are best for your body. This is where that comes into play. So if you've heard people talking about tracking their macros, it's to better understand and then to hit the macronutrient goals that are best suited for your body and your goals. So to break that down in its simplest form, there are 3 macronutrients that foods are comprised of: carbs, fat, and protein. You need a balance of all 3. So any diet that you hear that's like, we're cutting out all carbs, or we're only eating high fat, or we're only eating protein, like, I wouldn't recommend those because a balance of all 3 is key for all of the systems within your body. Now, I'm not a huge proponent of tracking macros all the time. I think doing that all the time, as someone who used to do it all the time, can be kind of dangerous. It can get a little obsessive. And frankly, like, who has time? If you're a mom, you probably do not have time to be tracking your macros all the time. That said, I think it's extremely educational to do it for a period of time, especially if it's not something you've ever done before. So using it as sort of an educational crash course in your foods and in the types of foods that you regularly eat, I think is so important and so helpful. Because as you start to learn what foods are made of and how to kind of strike that balance throughout your day between carbs, fats, and proteins, then you kind of learn it, right? And so you're able to do it more intuitively. You don't have to track all the time. You don't have to obsess over those numbers. So if you work with me on a one-on-one basis, I will encourage you to track macros for a specific period of time. And I will also help give you macro goals so that you know kind of what you're aiming for day to day. My stance on tracking macros is it's about awareness and education. It's not about perfection. You're never going to hit it perfectly, and that's totally fine. You just want to kind of learn and understand and equip yourself better for the long run, for a lifelong journey with healthy eating. Now, when it comes to how to track macros, I have been recently using Cal AI, an app that makes this so simple. And this portion of the video is kindly sponsored by Cal AI, but I would give you this recommendation either way. It's so easy because you literally just take a picture of what you're eating with your phone, and smart AI technology will understand what's on the plate and will find the macros for you. So gone are the days of having to like precisely measure every little thing and weigh it out and then manually enter it in. Like, you just snap a picture and the technology is like, cool, cool, I got you. I have found it to be like pretty accurate. I still will sometimes check things that are a little bit harder for like a camera to catch, like sauces or oils. Sometimes the ingredients that have higher macros in and of themselves aren't always captured in a photo. So I will occasionally double check those things if I know that they're present in what I'm eating. But outside of that, it's really pretty accurate of what it can capture. You're also able to just scan barcodes. So if you've got like a prepackaged food, you can just scan the barcode really easily. And that takes like 2 seconds to capture the macros of what you're eating. Or you could search in their like full food database. If you don't have the barcode or you don't, feel good about the picture, maybe you ate too fast and you forgot to take the picture, you can search in their food database and find the foods that you need. I love it because you can do this very quickly. And again, as moms, you don't have time to sit there and like spend a whole bunch of time figuring out like the perfect macros of what you ate. So being able to do it quickly, even with one hand while I'm like bouncing the baby in the other hand, is key. And again, when it comes to tracking macros, it's not about being perfect. So if it doesn't capture the perfect down to the exact ounce of what you ate, like that's okay. We're just trying to learn. We're trying to educate ourselves about what's in the foods that we're eating. And as we adjust our macronutrient goals, then we get a better understanding of what makes us feel good, what helps us lose weight if that's our goal, what helps us gain weight, gain muscle if that's our goal. Like tracking macros is just a really educational and helpful process. So if you're interested, I would love for you to check out Cal AI. I definitely think it's helpful. I used to spend lots and lots of time on MyFitnessPal, and this is just a much simpler version that fits into my lifestyle as a busy mom trying to lose a baby weight. So check out that link in the description box below and definitely use my code, which I will pop up on the screen here, to get 3 days free. Okay, so to recap, we talked about eating enough of the right things. That's where your macros come into play. And if you don't want to track macros, that's totally fine. You still just want to be focused on getting enough carbs, getting enough complex carbs, getting enough healthy fats, and getting enough protein. And I would also throw in there fiber, because the balance of those things is what constitutes healthy eating. And if that still feels overwhelming, then here's what I would tell you. I would encourage you to fill up half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, leafy green, fibrous foods that have one ingredient and came from the earth, ideally. And then I would encourage you to do like a quarter of your plate of protein. So whether that's meat, whether that's tofu, whether that's beans, like some sort of protein source. And then I would do the other fourth of your plate with some sort of complex carbs. So not like simple carbs like white rice or white bread, like something more complex. Quinoa is great. Even a wheat bread every now and then, maybe some wheat bread pasta, whole wheat pasta. That's like my very, very basic, like I don't want to think about anything else. Let me just give you the simplest way to do it. That's how I would organize your plate. Okay, so eating enough of the right things in the right order is the last part of this formula. And this is where we kind of level up. Okay, this is like the expert version of healthy eating, but I thought it was important to include it because if you are at that point where you feel like you're eating the right things, you feel like you're eating enough, but you're still not seeing the results that you want, sometimes this is another way to sort of unlock more progress. Now, if you're just focused on the first two, then you can leave this for later. Okay, don't try to do everything all at once. If you're just getting started, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So if you just want to focus on the first two parts of the formula, I think that's a great place to be. The third part is, again, a way to sort of level up and to get to that advanced degree of nutrition. So this is about eating things in the right order. The order in which you eat things can actually really matter when it comes to how those foods impact your body. The timing and the way in which we consume foods has a direct correlation with our blood sugar levels, our energy levels, our ability to work out, our ability to repair our muscles, our protein synthesis. Like there is science to support this idea that the order in which you eat things matters. And so here's a couple of examples of that I think are important to know. When it comes to blood sugar regulation, if you don't follow, I think her Instagram handle is Glucose Goddess on Instagram. She goes like real deep into this. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but I think it's a good follow anyway if you just want to educate yourself. But regulating your blood sugar throughout the day is crucial, especially for women, because our blood sugar can really impact our hormones and our energy levels. So understanding that if you eat a, let's say, simple carb or just a carb in general by itself, that's going to cause a bigger spike in your blood sugar levels than if you were to eat that carb with a healthy fat and a protein. So if you do that, which is called sandwiching your carbs, sandwiching it between a healthy fat and a protein or fiber and protein, it helps keep your blood sugar a little bit more stable, which is just beneficial for a million reasons. So one way that this really comes into play, at least for me, is I love dessert. I'm a sweet tooth girly, and I'm never going to be on any sort of nutrition plan that doesn't allow me to have a little treat. However, I've learned that if I have that treat by itself, let's say I eat dinner and then I get the kids to bed and I'm doing a million other things, and then at 10 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, you know what? I need an Oreo. Doing that and eating that treat by itself is going to have a much higher spike in my blood sugar. If instead I just eat right after my dinner, if I finish dinner and then I'm like, cool, time for a treat, then I've had protein, I've had fiber, I've had things before it. And so the impact on my blood sugar of that little treat is so much lower, which is so much better for me and my hormones and my sleep and all the things. So sandwich your carbs and pair your treats with other food. If it's dessert, eat it with dinner. If it's a smoothie in the middle of the day, make sure you also have a fat source within it. Just try to avoid having individual sugary foods by themselves. The last thing I'll say in that is a lot of times women struggle with this around breakfast. Like if you're someone who just wakes up and eats like a piece of toast or a muffin and then you go on with your day, that is again an example of eating a carb by itself. So if you can add a scrambled egg to that, if you can add some veggies with fiber to that, like if you can add some nut butter on your bread, like anything that you can do to sandwich that breakfast item, that carby breakfast item is going to be huge for keeping your blood sugar and your energy levels stable throughout the day. Okay, another place that in the right order comes into play is when we think about working out. So pre-fuel and post-fuel of your workout. Now, I don't get too precious about this. Sometimes if you're a busy mom and you're getting a workout in, like regardless of if you had the perfect amount of food at the perfect amount of time before, like you're doing the most. Okay, so I don't get too precious about this, but I think it's helpful to understand if you do have the luxury of planning out your meals and your snacks in this way. So pre-workout, you want to aim for eating like 30 to 60 minutes before your workout, and you want to get some carbs with a little protein. So the carbs are going to give you energy stores and glucose stores to fuel your workout and to give you that boost that you need. But again, the protein is going to help keep you full, keep you satiated, and balance that blood sugar impact. So Greek yogurt and berries is a great way to do this. A banana with some almond butter is a great way to do this. You don't want to do anything like super high fat because fats can sometimes slow your digestion, which isn't really what you want when you're about to go work out, but a little bit of fat is okay. So 30 to 60 minutes pre-workout, a carb and a protein source would be perfect. Post-workout, ideally you would eat within an hour and you would prioritize protein. That's really going to help your recovery. A little bit of carbs with that would also be great to just like balance those, get those glucose stores back up. But eating some source of protein within an hour after your workout can be really helpful. Now, the science has kind of ebbed and flowed about this recently. So if you see things that say something to the contrary, like feel free to do your own research. This is just what I found works best for me based on the science that I learned at the time of becoming a nutrition coach. And I find that this works really well for women that I coach. So to boil that all down, once again, sandwich your carbs, eat your treat with your food. And this isn't really about eating in the right order, but just an extra bonus hack is that when it comes to regulating your blood sugar, another incredible and simple way to do this is just to get a little bit of movement in after your meals. So something that we like to do as a family, because we eat dinner real early because I have 2 little baby kids, is after our dinner, it is still light out, generally speaking. And so we'll go for like a little walk. We literally just like do a loop around our little street, neighborhood, whatever. It's like maybe a half mile at most, but getting some movement in after we eat is great for it's great for everybody for all the things, but it's really good for helping regulate your blood sugar after a big meal. So that's another little tip from me to you if you're looking for ways to help manage your blood sugar throughout the day. Okay, so again, eating enough of the right things, that's like, this is 101. Okay, this is where you want to be if you're just getting started. Eating enough of the right things in the right order is expert level. If you want to level up and just really amplify your results and how you're eating to fuel your body, that is my formula for how to do it. Now, I'm happy to go more in depth on any of these 3 areas. And I do love to talk a lot about nutrition and eating. And I feel really passionately, especially as someone who talks about this stuff online and coaches women, like so many of us have unhealthy relationships with food. And I don't want to perpetuate any of that. I want to do the opposite. I want to encourage you that no matter what your past is like, no matter what your relationship with food is like, or what your brain tells you is true about certain foods or the amount of food you're eating or whatever, like there is freedom to be found in eating intuitively, understanding what you're eating, understanding what makes your body feel good, and being able to reach certain weight loss goals or fitness goals or whatever the case may be while not feeling super depleted, while not feeling like you're deprived of food and nutrients. Like you don't have to drop your calories crazy low to get results. And I am living that as I've got 10 pounds to go on losing on my baby weight goal. And I'm also breastfeeding. So being able to do that at the same time while not obsessing about it, while not freaking out over every little thing that I eat is just so freeing. And I believe that that is possible for all women. You just have to find the right resources and tools and education and make sure that you're able to discern what lies you're telling yourself about food and calories and whatever else. So if you're in a good headspace to start that process, again, I think a great way to get started is educating yourself on what you're eating. So maybe take 3 days and track your food, use Cal.AI, see without judgment, just observe what you're eating on a regular basis. What are the calories of that? What are the macro breakdown of those foods? And where would that fall within what, would be recommended for whatever your goals are? So again, grab that link in the description box below. You can try it out for 3 days. That's a great period of time to track your macros. So definitely use my code. Again, I'll pop it up on the screen. If you have any other questions about healthy eating, please let me know. I'm happy to make more videos on this. And I'd love for you to stick around for the rest of my postpartum comeback, weight loss, whatever series, whatever I'm calling the series. So definitely subscribe and like this video if you found it helpful. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.